I've got to say, yet again, the Champions League final seemed to be very, very disorganised, and it was a pretty miserable experience for most of the supporters who were there. Obviously, if you're a Manchester City supporter, it was an extremely exciting evening. Your side won the treble. You'll remember the good things, but also you'll remember the problems as well. And I think serious questions have to be asked and put to UEFA about the organisation of these finals, because I can't remember the last final I went to that was well organised and was an enjoyable experience. Now, I'm going to these finals as part of my job. I'm not going there to have fun, and I'm getting paid, and I'm finding it to be an ordeal. So I really feel sorry for the people who are spending thousands and thousands of pounds to go to these events. And it really seems like UEFA are not thinking about the supporters. The supporters just seem to be there as part of the show. Let's just have them at each end of the ground and they add a little bit of atmosphere and it looks good on TV. But as an experience for these supporters, you have to say it is very poor value for money and it is an ordeal. And they are treated...
So what happened? Give us some examples.
OK, the game was kicking off at 10 p.m. at local time in Istanbul. 10 p.m. The reason it was at 10 p.m. is because it suits TV audiences around the world, especially in Western Europe. But a lot of these games, finals, have extra time or penalties. As it was, we got back from the game at 4 a.m, back to our hotel in the centre of Istanbul. If there'd been extra time, if there'd been penalties, we would probably got back at 6 a.m. Now, 10 p.m. kickoff, Manchester City supporters were told to get to the stadium, don't use a taxi, don't use the metro, go to the port district of Istanbul. There will be shuttle buses to take you to the stadium and get there as early as you can, up to 9 hours before kickoff. So City supporters were going to these buses and there was a wait of up to 2 hours to get on the buses. You're not allowed to take any water on the buses. Once they got on the buses...
No water?
No water on the buses. Once you got on the buses, you were stuck on those buses for up to 3 hours. The Atatürk Stadium is 12 miles outside Istanbul, but the traffic is so bad that the journey was taking between 2.5 and 3 hours. People were getting out of the buses and walking along the motorway. People were getting really, really distressed on these buses. Once you got to the stadium, there was supposed to be a fan zone. It was effectively a big area with a couple of concessions and not many toilets. So again, you had to queue for up to an hour and a half if you wanted a water or a beer or some food. If you wanted a toilet, massive queues again. Then you got into the game. Obviously, if you're a City supporter, you had a great time. Getting home, you know, you're coming out of the stadium at 1 a.m, yet again, massive queues for the shuttle buses, massive traffic, people walking along the motorways, people paying something like up to £200 to get a taxi back to the centre of Istanbul when it normally costs about £20. And it didn't matter who you were, even if you were a VIP, you were stuck in traffic. And why do UEFA have to have these finals and not have any provisions around them for food or drink for the supporters? Why? Because it's all sewn up by their corporate sponsors. You can only buy their beer. You can only buy their soft drinks. So there is a desert around these stadiums where there is no food, no drink,